Peace, peace, peace. What's good, y'all? It's your brother God Science. I'm up in here. Shout out, special salute to the few that watch the videos and subscribe. I really appreciate y'all. True indeed. True indeed. Gotta put on the Ralph Lauren glasses for this shit right here. Put on some. Hold on. Let me get my shit right. Get my shit right. Yeah, I know my glasses is thick as hell. Yeah, I'm blind. Yeah. So I gotta make this video, man. And because I love hip hop so much. And you see the title of the video. This video is basically in a response to one of the brothers that I look up to. And he goes by the name of Gipp Goodie from the Goodie Mob. One of the most prolific, legendary groups that came out of the South, Atlanta, that I was put up on from way before a lot of people in Brooklyn. All right, Outkast's first album, I was blasting that when it first came out, and I couldn't believe them brothers was from Atlanta, and I'm gonna explain why. Now, this has to do with sorts of interviews on Arthur Dialogue. If y'all don't know that channel, y'all go watch it. Arthur Dialogue, salute to that brother. He be having some fire content, especially about Tupac. You know, he be having a lot of good content on there. You know what I mean? So shout out to him. And Gipp was on the Arthur Dialogue, and I don't know if it was only me, but it seems like he had some type of issue with the East Coast, New York, and especially Jay-Z. I don't know what. Now, let me say this. Some of the stuff that he was saying was real, you know, with the money stuff. And it's surprising that I'm getting this from Gipp, because he's one of my favorite ones out of the Goodie Mob. Him, CeeLo, and Cujo. That's like my favorite. Not Timo could rock it too, all of them. But we all got favorites out of groups. You know what I'm saying? Gipp is one of my favorites, and he, when Gipp speak, you can tell he's a conscious brother. And I remember growing up in Brooklyn, my grandmother used to live in Orlando, where I live now, right? And we used to come down here for vacation before we moved down here. But in the 2000s, before we moved down here, we used to come back down here for vacation. And, when we first saw Disney World, we was all blown away and shit. This is when I was a young kid. And I was always into hip hop. Now, back then, when we came out, I would say around 88, 89, when we used to come down here. Up in New York, you had KRS-One coming out with, By Any Means Necessary. You had Slick Rick dropping his first album. That's one of the most prolific years of hip hop, 88 and 89. I mean, there was albums dropping everywhere. Rakim, Lyrics of Fury, Follow the Leader album. I mean, it was so much. That's why they call it one of the most, a lot of people call it the golden era. I call around that era to the mid-90s the golden era, because there was, Wu-Tang. You can't forget about that. But 88, 89, and WA, it was so much hip-hop coming out. And I remember being down south here. And, of course, I would look for the hip-hop that they was playing down here. Now, down here, they used to have a brother by the name of Magic Mike. If anybody that lived in Florida back in the days, you know who Magic Mike is. He used to, he was more of a DJ. He used to make beats that had some 808s in it that would blow speakers. His Feel the Bass series. Every album he came out with a Feel the Bass 1, Feel the Bass 2, and he had a rapper by the name of Vicious Bass. So the hip hop down here was more on people call it booty music. Whereas if you look at Miami, Luke, he had that that booty music. But I still, we still rocked with Two Live Crew. Move Something is one of my favorite songs, but it was different. It was more of a Planet Rock type beats that they were playing down south, not more of lyrical like the up north. You know what I mean? So when the Ghetto Boys came out, that was a explosion because we didn't hear nothing like that coming out from the South. That's why the Ghetto Boys is one of the most prolific groups to come out the South, because they came out and they were saying something. They wasn't just talking about butts and titties and all of that stuff. They were saying something. You know what I'm saying? But that's the stuff that they had out when I used to come down here and visit. Now, fast forward around when Outkast album came out. I remember seeing the box. Anybody from the old school, the box where you used to call up and you could call up videos. They had Players Ball. And when I heard that beat, I was like, yo, that's it right there. So I was looking for that album. You know what I'm saying? I was looking for that album. Now, I remember what Andre 3000 said, because a lot of people felt like the South wasn't getting their respect. And I agree with that. A lot of people, look, hip hop was created in New York City. We know that, all right? A lot of people don't like New Yorkers. They think they're arrogant. Yes, some of us are, but I won't paint that whole picture to everybody. I mean, you don't like it when white people say all black people are lazy, right, Gipp? But I get it. Yes, back in the days when New York was running hip hop, yeah, there might be a little bit of arrogance with it. You know what I'm saying? If you're not from New York, you had to make it through New York and to make it anywhere. And that's still true a little bit to this day, because New York is a big city. It has a lot of companies and commerce, and New York is a big city, just like LA. If your music ain't playing in LA, New York, or Atlanta now, because Atlanta wasn't that big at that time. You got brothers like Eric Sermon that nobody talks about. Gipp is on there. He's talking about all this, it feels like animosity to New York. And Eric Sermon is one of the ones that blew up Atlanta with his rim shop on Peachtree. Why y'all don't talk about that part? So the thing I don't like about it is he's like making it's in this north south stuff that I don't like. We already got division. We got this block against this block. Y'all saw what happened with the East and West Coast thing. We lost two great rappers that I believe that if it was alive, hip hop wouldn't even be going in the direction it was going. But you see what that beef did. And a lot of countless people died from that beef that wasn't even popular, that you probably wouldn't even hear of. So from the way he was speaking, it's like, what are you trying to do? And it feels like you have this animosity against New York MCs. And then you have the nerve to say that the South's been running hip hop longer than New York? Really? Really? All right. Okay. I remember Mr. Magic, okay? I was young. And he was mixing back in the long 80s. So we're going to count to the 80s until when Master P came out. That's when when stuff started turning, Cash Money and stuff started turning, the early 90s. Nah, bro. But it's nothing against the South, because I live in the South. I represent both parts of it. But I don't like, it's just surprising to see it coming from Gipp, man, because this dude, he comes off as this conscious dude that and half the stuff that he's saying, some of the stuff he's saying is factual, but stuff is not, bro. I don't agree with that list of all great rappers. No, I don't. But then you came out and talk about Drake sells a lot of records, more records. Well, so the best rapper still sells the most records? When was that? When was that? Rakim, I don't think Rakim ever went platinum, but he's one of the greatest. Am I lying? Gip, you tell me, did any MC from New York ever inspire you, bro? That's, you might not be coming off that way, but that's how it's coming off. Like, you have this animosity against New York. Every time art bring up something about you shoot it down. Well, the South was doing this and the South was doing that. All right. I think, you know what I think it is personally, and I don't know Gip personally or anything. I do, follow him on Instagram and stuff like that. But I guess it's this type of animosity from the South when they were trying to get in and New York wasn't allowing them. It's the same story that Crazy Drazy from Das Effects told when he was in an interview and he was trying to get a record deal or something, and he went down south, and when they found out he was that dude from Das Effects, they hated on him. So I guess it's because, when New York had the rain, you know, um, that y'all ain't let us in and stuff like that. So we ain't gonna let you in, which is a bunch of little baby shit, man. Now, I get what he's talking about, where the money and stuff like that, but I can't stand here and say Jay-Z is not a great rapper, bro. I can't do it. Have you ever listened to Reasonable Doubt? Have you ever listened to The Blueprint? The man can rhyme. Now, he might not be rhyming about stuff that Goody Mob rhymes about. That's why Goody Mob is so special, because they came in with some consciousness stuff, and nobody from up north was hearing that. When I first heard Outkast and I first heard Soul Food, which I put up there as one of the in the top 10 greatest albums created of all time, Soul Food, I couldn't believe those dudes was from the South, because when I was down in the South, I wasn't hearing anything like that. I wasn't hearing dude coming with conscious rap. And at the top of that, gangster conscious rap, educating, opening up minds, making you think. I wasn't hearing that from Two Live Crew. I wasn't hearing that from MC Shy D. These are people that was out at the time when I was down here in the 80s. So when they came out, people had this stereotype, which is, I don't agree with it, but we did have a stereotype that people from down south was slow. You have David Banner talk about it all the time. From him being from Mississippi, people thinking that people from the South were slow. But it's just something that we had to learn, that these brothers got them knowledge of self. And when I heard Soul Food, I let my boys listen to it, and I'm like, yo, these dudes is it. So when you talk about, you gotta say radio, bro. Radio might be what probably was stopping your record companies, but in the streets, we was fucking with Goody Mob, bro. In New York, all right? We was fucking with Outkast. I remember when my brother went to Job Corps in Kentucky, and he came back. He went to Memphis because they had like furloughs they used to go on, and he came back from Memphis, and he came back with a 3-6 Mafia tape, World Domination Part 2. And I remember him talking about 3-6 Mafia, and I'm like, who the hell is 3-6 Mafia, bro? And I took his CD one day. It was a tape, actually, and I listened to that tape. Yeah, they had tapes back then. Yeah, I'm telling my age, but yo, I come from the old school. And I listened to that tape, and I was like, yo, these dudes created a whole new sound. Now I thought that they worshiped the devil and shit first when I was in my, Christian zone back then, because I came from a Christian background. But those beats was like, woo. And from there, I was hooked. Hypnotized minds all the way. So there were people in New York playing South stuff. You know what I mean? There were artists collaborating with South rappers. You know what I'm saying? You have Mobb Deep collaborating with 8 Ball and MGG. You have, Gangstar with Scarface. You had a lot of people. You had Prodigy with BG. You had a lot of brothers showing dudes love when they saw that there was more than booty music that was coming out of the South. You know what I'm saying? So, and we were playing that stuff in the streets. I don't know. So, my question to you, Gip, were you in the streets in the 90s in New York? Because like mainstream, they probably was hating on the South, but we was playing that music, bro. We was playing the music. A lot of people up north has family in the South. So I don't understand this animosity. And then when it comes to Jay, I don't know, bro. It just seems like you have something personal with him that I'm not even gonna touch. I don't even know. But you can't say Jay's not an LMC. You can't say that, man. Have you listened to his lyrics? I mean, someone that doesn't even write and goes into the. Do you know how hard it is to freestyle a song and tell a story? I mean, I'm a producer and I've tried, and I like rhyming on my rhymes just for fun, on my beats for fun. And I try to do it. And half the time I like have to pause and punch, pause and punch. It's hard to tell a story, all right? A ill story using big words and using in creative flows off your dome. You gotta give props to that. Come on, man. Come on, bro. Now, Andre 3000, he's an ill MC. I think Aquemini is up there again as one of the most best hip hop albums ever created. Aquemini. Now, some people might say ATLiens was better. You know, music is subjective. I think personally, Aquemini from beginning to back, one of the greatest albums ever created. Organized Noise. Me as a producer, I always looked at the credits who produced. So when I started seeing this, who the hell is this Organized Noise? These dudes are legends, man. So I don't get that, bro. I just had to make a video on that and just let brother Gipp know, yo, not everybody in New York was hating on the South like that. All right. It's just that the South did not have MCs that much that was coming out with like lyricism. And that's what was needed back then. I mean, 88, 89. I mean, you talking about Rakim coming out with his second album. You talking about Slick Rick coming out with his album. How the hell you gonna stand up to that coming out with some shake your booty? I mean, which is good for the club. You in the club and stuff like that. Yeah, I get it. But come on, man. It wasn't no MCs like that. Not till I keep skipping. There were groups before Outkast, but I have to say, Outkast is the one that impacted me the most to make me be like, yo, wow. Let me start looking at the South some more because and then 3-6 Mafia, when my brother put me on to them, I was like, yo, these dudes got a whole different sound. So I was always into that. So I don't know if I'm taking those videos wrong. I think even Art asked him, do you have something personal with Jay or East Coast? And it just seems that like he does. You know what I'm saying? Why? I don't know. There's brothers out there that love Goodie Mob and love Outkast. I don't know what personally happened to him out there. I don't know, man. But that's all I can say is my experience. In my experience, I was playing Outkast on the first freaking album, and I was in Brooklyn. All right? I was in Brooklyn on Bergen Street in Park Slope, New York. Brooklyn, New York. And I was like, yo, y'all need to listen to this shit. And my homeboys was like, they was liking that shit too. So, I don't know. Just weird, man. It's just weird that it's just coming from Gipp. Now, at the same time, he be telling a lot of truths. That's why I love that brother. That's why I'm so surprised that, man, these glasses just I gotta keep pushing them. Forget it. Trying to be all intellectual. It's just surprising it's coming from him. It's like, dang, not Gipp. And then you talk about Luda, last but not least, because I'm not going to, I don't want to make it a whole long video. I know y'all don't like long videos. You talk about Luda, like he lost respect from the South because he because he wasn't kissing nobody's ass in New York. He was just connecting and making music. He said it himself. He was inspired by Redman. Redman is from Newark. So that makes him a less of a person from the South because he collabed with someone up north. What are you trying to do? Start some South North shit? You see what I mean? That's I don't get it. And that's how it comes off, brother. I'm not saying you are, but that's what it comes off like. And we don't need that, man. We really don't. Because if you notice and been, you probably older than me, so you've probably seen the creation of hip hop. Like how I saw the creation of hip hop. It has moved. It went from LA, it went from New York, it went to LA, then it went to the South. Don't forget about the Midwest, because Chicago came with that drill stuff. So it moves. And we all know what goes around comes around. So we're going to go back to New York. And there has been MCs that came out of New York that's hot. Let's not act like there's no MC that ever came out of New York since the South start. Come on, knock it off. Now, you have brothers coming out of Buffalo like Conway the Machine. One of the most prolific producers of all time, The Alchemist. He from the West Coast. And he killing it right now. Bodie James, coming out of Detroit, killing it right now. So I don't know what you're talking about, bro. Yes, we understand that the South had a nice hard run, and they still running. But there's a lot of other places that's coming out too. Don't forget Chicago. Don't forget Detroit. Don't forget LA. You got brothers like Nipsey that was coming out. You got brothers like, DJ Mustard that had his run. I mean, I don't get it. I just don't get it. I don't get it. But anyway, like I'm saying, man, music is music. You know what I'm saying? We all should be collabing with each other. We already have division in this with our people. All right? If it's not you're from this block, you're from this state. If it's not you're from this state, your nose is bigger than this other one's nose. If it's not that, you wearing this shoes and you wearing this shoes. Y'all ain't tired of that? Come on, man. That's all I gotta say, man. I just had to spit that rant because I was watching that interview and I was just like, this dude is just something really, I don't know, personal happened to this brother with him and Jay. I don't know, but my music is subjective. All right, Jay is one of the illest MCs out there. That's my perspective. The only one that I think that can catch him is Nas. But then you got brothers like Redman. I think Redman is my favorite artist, hip hop artist of all time. Now people might disagree with that, but Redman is my personal hip hop favorite, best artist, best MC. Consistent. Had a long career of consistent hard albums, and can spit his ass off. That's my favorite producer. Hip hop. And he's a producer also. So my favorite producer / artist. It's hard to say who's the best MC, man. That's why that whole list is whack. Because everybody's going to pick someone different. Then you're saying from what era? From what era? You got people that would say Melly Mel. Grandmaster Cash. You could go back then. Then you could go to the 90s. Then you could go to the 80s. I mean, it's so hard to pick who's the best MC. Then Andre 3000. Yes, he is up there. Like I said, Aquemini is one of the greatest albums ever made. Period. So, not everyone is in New York is hating on the South, bro. And please, man, come on. We don't need no more division. Between you and Jay, I don't know, but is it only me? Y'all let me know. Leave some comments. If you made it this far, I appreciate you. Like the video if you want to. If you don't, just don't. I just had to spit that out. and I'm out, man. Y'all stay safe and hip hop forever. Peace.